Aloha and greetings, everybody. This is Master Sio coming to you from the Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living, Pasadena, California. Thank you so much for joining us here for meditation. 2 days ago, on June 12th, marked the day 53 years ago that the Supreme Court of the United States struck down all bans or prohibitions against interracial marriage. That day is commemorated these days as Loving Day. And I'm sure that many of you in this audience can relate to the devastating psychological and other effects that banning people from marrying whom their heart tells them to is almost incomprehensible to us today. This development 53 years ago, though, has led to some of the loosening of societal norms in the United States and elsewhere to allow people more freedom of choice in their personal life. The couple behind this story was Mildred and Richard Loving. Mildred was black and Richard Loving was white. They grew up as childhood friends in Virginia, where interracial marriage was illegal. They went to Washington, D.C. to get married. Not long after they returned to Virginia, police swooped in during the night and arrested them. They pleaded guilty to charges of cohabiting as man and wife against the peace and dignity of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and they only avoided jail time by agreeing to leave the state of Virginia and not to return for 25 years. Can you imagine that? The Lovings moved to Washington, D.C. and began legal action by writing to U.S. Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. Kennedy referred the case to the American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU. After the Supreme Court ruled unanimously in favor of the young couple, they returned to Virginia, where they lived with their 3 children. In 1975, Richard Loving died in a car accident. Mildred Loving died May the 5th, 2008, at the age of 68. Each June the 12th, a few years ago, people started to mark the anniversary of that ruling. Loving Day events around the country mark the advances of mixed-race couples. In the 5 decades since that Supreme Court decision, interracial marriage has increased dramatically. In 2015, 1 in 6 newlyweds had a spouse of a different race or ethnicity, which is more than 5 times higher than the number of intermarried newlyweds in 1967. In its ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court stated, under our Constitution the freedom to marry or not marry a person of another race resides with the individual and cannot be infringed by the state. Let us spend a few moments now celebrating in our hearts the great victories that the people, like you and I, have won since 1967, with the freedom to choose our personal liberties as long as they do not infringe on the choices or freedom of others. Look deeply into your heart and find the enormous gratitude there for the changes in our society for our betterment, despite the obvious and apparent setbacks. Let us be grateful for whatever little advances, step by step, we have made. The man who founded Loving Day is a young fellow by the name of Ken Tanabe. He is half Japanese. His father was Japanese, and his mom was from Belgium. Quite a unique combination, I might say. In any event, when he read about the momentous decision of the U.S. Supreme Court to ban all legislation against interracial marriage, Ken Tanabe decided to start with small celebrations at a home, and then it spread to a neighborhood, and the story is quite interesting. He said he went to a bar and just invited anybody who wanted to come and celebrate the principle of loving. And so the movement has now grown to many states in the U.S., as well as in a few foreign countries. What we are talking about here is really universal love or pure love. I'd like to remind ourselves that we often dwell in our thinking more on the setbacks than the victories. I'm suggesting that we celebrate whatever victories we have in hand, and this celebration and being mindful of what gifts we have won will spread slowly but surely, sometimes dramatically, to the entire world. This reminds me of the fact that scientists observing dying reefs, like the reefs in the ocean, not only in Florida but worldwide, the reefs were dying. But in any event, what they found was that if you play the sound of vibrant, living, healthy reefs, play the sounds that they emit to the dying reefs begin to rejuvenate themselves. The fish return to the dying reef and eat away all the garbage that need to be taken away. All forms of life begin to be attracted to the dying reefs, which are now becoming alive again. In the same way, we who are in this movement of personal liberation can do so without violence and in peace, and by quietly but profoundly spreading our little victories, sharing our stories with those who have sort of lost hope. If you feel that our meditation today has given you some hope that indeed our society is changing, then indeed the love that we carry in our hearts is spreading more and more and giving hope to the dying reefs, so to speak, of humanity. Then I want to tell you the battle is worth carrying on. Hola! 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 Now, if you can please look directly into my eyes, right about here, I will be transmitting to you some powerful, loving, healing energies or frequencies. As you are looking at me and listening to the sound of my voice, you will begin to feel more relaxed and to feel certain sensations which are unique and which you did not experience before you came to this meditation. It is also possible that you may see lights gathering around me. If you do, you should celebrate with joy in your heart, because what you are seeing is a reflection of yourself. My third eye is like a mirror. It merely reflects back to you your own frequencies. For example, if you see bright lights flashing, or a steady glow, or morphing of my face into other features, or even animal totems, you should celebrate because they are of you. I merely am a reflection of your enormous goodness and inherent lovingness. Should I close my eyes, please keep yours open and continue to look directly at me. For in doing so, I am being grateful that you are sending me loving energy, and I hope that you are grateful that in exchange I send you loving, healing frequencies simultaneously. Please gently close your eyes. Please gently close your eyes. With your eyes closed, imagine looking at yourself from outside of yourself, and you will see your body floating in front of you, similar to a glass statue that you could see into. You will notice little lights like Christmas lights moving like tiny streams of energy throughout your body. Even though you might only spend a minute or even less observing these little lights, they are working diligently to rejuvenate and upgrade your entire existence, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. It will also integrate all the loving day principles we just spoke about a minute ago into your very consciousness, so that you will live your life in full gratitude for the little victories and the enormous triumphs that you and society have made, despite the chaos that we see all around us. Now is the time to love yourself deeply and without any condition. None whatsoever. It is also the time to forgive yourself for anything that you think you might have done wrong. There is no need to be attached to it at all. The time to begin is right at this moment. For time cannot and does not wait for anyone. Any excuses will not slow down time. Any indecisions will not delay the time. So I join with you in celebrating the love that we do enjoy as human beings and as members of the human family. You may open your eyes now and notice just how bright everything seems and how wonderful you feel. In just a moment, our celebration service will begin, led by our senior minister, the Reverend Scott Olson. This is Master Sio signing off. Thank you very much.